Hi everyone, yep, well, back again, time for another video, and as you can see I've got my black Bar Humbug Santa hat on. Yep, so only less than 4 days now till Christmas. So yes, well, what I'm here to just talk about is Christmas movies that I watch every year to get into the holiday spirit. Or the Christmas spirit, as I'm British, but yeah. Well, I've been meaning to do a video like this at least for the past 2 Christmases, but I just never get around to it. The only other Christmas type videos I did were Facebook Live specials a few years ago for Attackers Reactions. At the time, my resources were restricted to uploading to YouTube, so. But yes, I haven't done reaction videos in a year now because simply just because I just want to make, it's really hard to do it without being copyright infringed. I want to be able to bring it back, but and find a way of doing it find a safer way of doing it without getting the audio material copyrighted infringed. So yeah, okay, the purpose of this video is just, as I say, I'm gonna go over some of my favourite Christmas movies that I watch every year. So I have some DVDs here. I've streamed more of what I watched this year. I'm not going to get all DVDs out because it means I'll have to faff about with my collection, but sorry, I'll have my back to you. Yeah. Yep, okay, so these are a few. So of course, now I only properly got into this franchise 10 years ago when I bought this DVD box set. I had only seen, the only one I'd seen all the way through when I was a kid was the second one that we happened to watch at school one year. So, of course, this is Home Alone. Now I've only watched one out of the collection of this DVD set this year because the other 3 are on Disney Plus now that Disney has bought Fox. So yeah, so in here we have Home Alone Family Fun Edition. So I bought this DVD box set back in 2010, but I hadn't seen the first movie all the way through. I'd only seen bits of it when I was younger. And then, of course, we have Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Okay, and Home Alone 3. Now, technically, I think this is still set around Christmas. I think this is actually supposed to be set in January time. But you still see some Christmas decorations about, even though it's not traditionally Christmas themed like the first 2 are. Yeah, this received very mixed reviews at the time of release in 1997. Partly the reason because Macaulay Culkin didn't return to reprise his role. But the thing is, what I did hear was there was a plan for him to come back and play an older Kevin McAllister, but really it wouldn't work, would it? Because in 1997 he'd have been 17. Yeah, he'd have been 17 at the time. It wouldn't have made sense for him to be, left alone as a kid, back then. So that's that. Okay, so these. Now and of course the final one. Now, anyone that can survive watching this, I give you credit, because it's hard to sit through because it's so damn bad. But I will admit that as a guilty pleasure, I still pop it in just to watch the complete collection. And that's Home Alone 4, also known as Home Alone Taking Back the House. This was released in 2002, which focuses again around the character of Kevin, clearly played by a different actor. This was actually originally meant to be a pilot for a Home Alone TV series, but due to the extremely poor reception of this film, the series was scrapped. How exactly a Home Alone TV series would have worked, I don't really know anyway. Just a cash in, I suppose. As I say, yeah, it is very bad, you know. If you look at any review, you can go onto YouTube and look at any review of this film. No one has one good thing to say about it. Yeah. So, but as I say, I'll just pop it in every year because just to watch the complete collection. And I also do have the most recent entry to the series, Home Alone: The Holiday Heist. So yeah, this was released in 2013. I only picked this DVD up last year because I think it finally came to the UK. But as I say, yeah, like Home Alone 4, this isn't all that good, but it's not as difficult to watch. I think it is considerably better. Most people have said that, even though it's not really good, it is better. And this is another story like Home Alone 3, focuses around a new kid in a new family, and it's brought up to date. You know, it takes place, you know, very much in the present time period of us all being, because the story is a kid. The family have moved from California to somewhere new. It's not Chicago they've gone to. I did watch this a few weeks ago. I can't remember exactly where they moved to, but it's a place that's very cold in the winter and it's snowing. It's all snowy, and basically the kid is addicted to playing online video games, and they believe that the house they moved to, and the kid's convinced that the house that they've moved to is haunted because it's like an old house that hasn't been lived in for some time, and and of course people there are a new set of villains that want to come and rob the house, and because there's a painting in the house, an old painting that's worth millions and millions of dollars, and the kid seeks out help to defeat them from a friend that he's met online, who plays the same game as him. So yeah, the kid sets the traditional traps. They win the fight against the bad guys, and then happy ending. Okay, so on to some other ones. Now these I do have all three of these movies. The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, classic. First saw this at school as a kid, and I just have to watch it every year. I actually got I'm sure that I got the video for Christmas in 1997, and then years later picked up the DVD. Classic story about a father and a son. Basically, the kid Charlie lives with his mum, who's divorced from his dad. She has a new husband, a psychiatrist, and he goes to stay with his dad over Christmas. And then what happens is, as we all know, they're woken up by Santa coming in on Christmas Eve night, and the Santa falls off the roof, and then Scott Calvin puts on the coat, takes his place, and then over the course of the next year, Scott starts to go through all the physical changes to become Santa Claus, and and it's fun. It's a fun movie. There's some emotional parts because Charlie's parents won't accept the fact that Scott really is Santa Claus. At first Scott doesn't believe himself. He believes that the trip, delivering all the presents, and then the trip to the North Pole, meeting the elves, and accepting the job of Santa Claus was a dream, but as he starts to go through the physical changes, and he's persuaded eventually by his son that it did really happen, and then by the end of the movie, his transformation's complete, he accepts his job, and another happy ending. And then, of course, we have Santa Claus 2. Now, this was released in 2002, and takes place 8 years after the first one. Definitely not as good. Doesn't have the charm of the first one, because this isn't a film in the early 2000s, while the original had, the charm of a real 90s live-action Disney movie, and makes it a real Christmas classic. I mean, I still quite enjoy this film. It's not a bad sequel, but what most people have said about it was it's unnecessary, that the Santa Claus didn't really need any sequels. Even though I remember before this came out, I was thinking I'd like to see what happened next. How does Scott deal with being Santa, and how does Charlie, deal with his life having to keep the secret that his dad's Santa Claus, and then the storyline with Scott having to get married, of having a month to find a wife, unless he has to resign from the job. It's a decent sequel, but just doesn't have the charm of the first one. As I say, I still like it. And I do also have, up here, Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. So this is the only one of these three that I saw at the cinema. This was released in 2007, and this introduces us to... This is the first one with... in the Santa Claus 2, you had... The villain was kind of the toy robot Santa that temporarily takes Scott's place when he's looking for a wife and helping to deal with Charlie, because Charlie's acting up to get his dad's attention. But in this one, this is the one with the first proper villain, with the character of Jack Frost, played by Martin Short. I admit, I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but definitely, I think at this point, it's taking it a bit too far. There's no Bernard in this one, the head elf, because the actor wasn't able to reprise his role. Basically, Jack Frost finds out how Santa can resign from the job by using his magic snow globe to make a wish that he'd never been Santa at all. And of course, Jack Frost tricks Santa into doing that, and they go back to the night that Scott originally became Santa from the first film, and then Jack gets hold of the coat, puts it on, and then Scott goes back to the present as if he'd never been Santa, and it's all a disaster. So basically, Scott has to find a way to trick Jack into into repeating the line, "I wish I'd never been Santa at all," which he does, and then that's it. And then another happy ending with him and Carol, the school principal from the second movie, having their baby. I still watch it. I watch the complete trilogy every year, and these are all I've watched all of the ones I'm probably going to talk about tonight. I've watched them all. So, of course, Elf. This is the one I watched more. I watched this the other night, and Will Ferrell, a human taken from an orphanage as a baby and raised by Santa and his elves, and him coming to the real world to be acquainted with his birth father. And it's just a fun movie, his father learning to... I think because his father never knew, the businessman never knew that he had a son, and here he's had a son that's been raised as one of Santa's elves. Santa's elves is a shock to him. So, but then, of course, they bond over time, and overall the film was just really funny, and you get a happy ending with just another Christmas movie happy ending with Buddy. I think he returns to the North Pole, but still has a loving relationship with his family and his little brother Michael. Okay, so right now I have got probably every version I think that's available on DVD of this story. Every adaptation it's available to buy. I think there's still one or two. I didn't see all of the most recent version that came out last year, the up-to-date version, even though I don't like some of the kind of modern day takes on the story. I just like the traditional story, and this is the Muppet Christmas Carol. So basically this is the Muppets. This is the Muppets telling of the classic Charles Dickens story. And, Christmas classic. With Michael Caine as Scrooge, you have Kermit as Bob Cratchit, Miss Piggy as Mrs. Cratchit, and then you have the little pigs and frogs as the Cratchit children. I love, the little frog with the crutch as Tiny Tim. And you got, and the ghosts, like the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, the all new 3 Muppet characters that have been designed by Jim Henson's workshop for the film. Just a classic version with the Muppets take. Just a lovely film to sit by the fire and watch. Great adaptation of the story with the twist of the Muppets. Okay. I have several little Christmas specials as well, but okay, so that's that. I'm trying to think some of the other ones I've watched more recently. Also, I do have more on DVD, but as I say, I can't get them all out because I'd be just messing up my collection on the shelves. But so I do have, I've also watched The Nightmare Before Christmas on the same night that I watched Elf. Nightmare Before Christmas is the Tim Burton movie from the 90s that doubles as a Halloween and a Christmas film, where you have Jack Skellington from the Halloween town accidentally discovering the Christmas town in the forest with all the tree doorways that lead to all the different holidays, and then his idea is to go and give everybody cursed Christmas gifts that come to life, Halloween type Christmas presents, and to capture Santa Claus, so he could take his place and deliver all those mutant Halloween toys in the Christmas town. But of course, he realises the error of his ways and then goes back, and then it's a happy ending with a making peace with Santa. Christmas is restored. And I've also watched I've got this other one here. I should talk. I have the Miracle on 34th Street remake, and I do also have the original as well. This is just the one that I grew up with, starring Richard Attenborough as Kris Kringle. And so I had this on video when I was a kid, and fantastic performances both by Richard Attenborough and Mara Wilson as Susan. So most people know the story. It's about a guy who coincidentally he thinks he's the real Santa Claus, and then coincidentally he has to take a place in a parade for a big New York department store that's in big financial trouble, and then he takes the place of a drunken performer as Santa Claus, and then he gets hired to be the department store Santa Claus, but then they start to notice that he does honestly believe that he's Santa. And there's a scene where he talks with a deaf child, as in the original version it's a foreign child, he speaks a different language. and the relationship with the mother and daughter, Susan and the mother, because the mother's this very unhappy, lonely woman who was divorced from her husband when the kid was born, and just to save Susan, the unhappiness, she's told her not to believe in myths and fantasies, which includes not believing in Santa Claus. So, but over the time when she meets Kris Kringle at the department store, he tries to convince her that he's the real Santa Claus, and then you have the story of him being targeted by the rival department store, and he's provoked into striking a man with his cane, and the man faking the severity of the injury, so he ends up going to this mental home, and to get out, he has to prove in court that he's the real Santa Claus. And then you have the character of Mr. Bedford, the lawyer, who slowly gets into a relationship with Susan's mom throughout the film. With his help, he does prove it in the end, and then Susan gets her wish, as she wished for a house and a father, and so when they get married, Mr. Bedford becomes her stepfather. Kris Kringle arranges for them to be able to buy the house that she wanted, and assumingly she asks for a baby brother as well. So it looks, at the end of the movie, I think Mrs. Walker, the mum, realises that she's pregnant, and so I have got the original version as well, and I do like the original. I never used to watch the original as a kid. I didn't even know till about 14 odd years ago that was actually a remake. But I do like the original version as well, with Edmund Gwenn's portrayal as Kris Kringle. And I've also watched the TV version of that, a remake that was from 1973, which is alright, but it's not all that good quality, and it's fairly lazily edited. I can tell that version didn't have the biggest budget, but it's it's okay, and it pretty much follows the same plot as the original movie, but just with a few 70s twists. Whilst this version takes place definitely in the 1990s. Okay, right, so those are those. And as I say, I've watched every version of A Christmas Carol I've got, including the Alistair Sim version from 1951, the Albert Finney musical from 1970, the Muppets Christmas Carol, which I've just talked about. I've watched the Patrick Stewart version, the 2004 musical with Kelsey Grammer, and the live-action version the 3D animation version by Robert Zemeckis, released in 2009, starring Jim Carrey, and also the George C. Scott version as well, from 1984. So the only one I've got left to do of my traditional choice is It's a Wonderful Life. Of course, the original Miracle on 34th Street and It's a Wonderful Life are the traditional must-watches for Christmas, and I do own both of them, so I might be watching that tomorrow. And then I'll just be watching a few other small Christmas specials that I like up to Christmas Eve, and then that'll be my run-through done for the month, and then whatever's on Christmas Day, watch with the family. So that's those. Okay, this will be the last DVD I've got that I think I'll just show you. I've talked about some others. I do have most of the ones I've talked about that I've not shown. I have all the ones I've talked about that I've not shown. It's just that they're buried in a pile somewhere. I have to mess about constantly to get them out and put them back. But this one is Jack Frost, released in 1998, starring Michael Keaton as the musician who fronts his own band for a living, and the complicated relationship with his son, because he's worked as a musician. He's away from home nearly all the time and doesn't get a lot of quality time with his son. And then it happens to be Christmas Eve when he gets a call to say he could be about to do a gig that could get him a record deal, which is his dream. And then when he on the way to the gig, he decides to turn around to be with his family. And then unfortunately, when he borrows his friend's car, he has a terrible car accident in a snowstorm on a cliff, and unfortunately he dies. And then it cuts to the following Christmas, where Charlie's been for almost a whole year without his dad. And to remember the good times, Charlie builds a snowman, as you see earlier in the film, before Jack dies. They built a snowman together, and then the following year, in memory of his father, he builds one. And then Charlie plays this harmonica, which his dad originally gave to him, that he gave back when he's mad. His dad had to go away, but he finds the harmonica in the box, because when he builds the snowman, he puts his dad's hat and scarf on it, and finds the harmonica in the box, and he plays it, wishing that his dad would be there for Christmas. And then Jack's ghost comes and possesses the snowman, so he's brought back to life as a snowman. And then throughout the film, they get to have the sort of quality time together for Christmas that they never had when he was alive. And then with the end, he goes back to heaven, and then Charlie and the mother get on with life. And just say, this film has the late Kelly Preston, who passed away earlier this year, and as the mother, Gabby. So R.I.P. to Kelly Preston. This is one of my favourite of her films. Another one of my traditional choices. Okay, so that's about that. So I've talked about most of the films I watch traditionally for Christmas. Not all in great detail, but of course a few I'll quickly just mention. All of us in the UK and most people around the world probably tune in to watch The Snowman. The classical music, animated short, and based on Raymond Briggs's picture book. I have watched that, and the sequel, The Snowman and the Snow Dog. Christmas specials like some Simpsons episodes. I've watched a few Christmas special, certain Christmas episodes of shows I liked as a kid, like the Power Rangers ones and the other Saban Show ones. I've watched. I'm still waiting for a DVD I've ordered. Whether it'll arrive in the next couple of days before Christmas, I don't know. But I've ordered an All Dogs Christmas Carol. It's the only version I know of that I don't own. I have seen it, and it's alright, but I've ordered it. I found it cheap on eBay, and I've ordered that. So whether it'll be here in time to watch before Christmas, I don't know. I'd be surprised, given that eBay aren't doing so well with the delivery service at the minute due to what's going on with bloody COVID. Okay, so that's me talking about the movies I like to watch leading up to Christmas. I've managed to get through a lot more this year because I started in the last week of November due to all this COVID nonsense and all this lockdown crap, with the UK being in the second national lockdown, and now with this new bloody Tier 4 system being introduced at midnight on Saturday. I was able to get through a lot more. I just felt like getting into the spirit a bit earlier this year. I think most people have. But yeah. So thanks all for watching. And I wish you, if I don't do another video before Christmas, I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Please stay safe, but have fun. Make the most of it. And I wish all of us, once again, a happy Christmas and hopefully a much better 2021. Okay, see you soon. Bye.